Western Spring Television, ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Governor Siminalayi Fubara apologized to Rivers State people over recent political crisis. Bandits kill at least 5 persons in Warno local government area of Sokoto State. On the foreign scene, at least 12 people killed as Israeli airstrike hits UN school in the Jabalia refugee camp. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is EVELYN OHIOLEI. We begin in Rivers State, where Governor Siminalayi Fubara has apologized to the people of the state over the recent political crisis in the state. He described the crisis as regrettable anxieties of the last few days, saying it was important to make sacrifices for peace to reign. Governor Fubara stated this in a statement he signed, which was issued to newsmen this morning in Port Harcourt, the state capital. While recalling the fire at the State House of Assembly complex and the division among lawmakers, the governor explained that his visit to the house was to assess the level of damage caused by the fire and undertake remedial measures to protect lives and property. The governor added that no sacrifice was too much for him to make, noting that it is the collective responsibility of his predecessor, ESM Wike, and himself to use their positions to advance the progress, security, and well-being of the people. He further thanked President Bola Tinubu for his intervention, which he said opened a series of communication channels aimed at arriving at a peaceful resolution of the crisis. To security matters, the Sokoto State Police Command has confirmed that bandits attacked Dahua town in the Warno local government area of the state, killing at least 5 people, while 4 others were injured in the process. The spokesman for the command, ASP Ahmed Rufai, confirmed the incident while speaking with newsmen today, disclosing that many others were also abducted in the process. Meanwhile, a resident of the village Dalhatu Duhua, who spoke with newsmen, disagreed with the police on the number of casualties, which he put at 6 and not 5, as announced by the police. Mr. Dahua, while confirming the number of casualties, said the incident began around 10:30 p.m. on Thursday and lasted till around 12 a.m. on Friday, when the bandits left the village. He stated that the police and other security operatives who came at about 12:25 a.m. tried to pursue the bandits into the bush, but unfortunately they could not see them as they have gone far. In the meantime, Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has received emergency relief materials for victims of banditry in the state. Governor Lawal received the items on Thursday while visiting the headquarters of the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons in Abuja. The governor's visit, according to a statement on Friday by his media aide, Sulaiman Bala Idris, was for familiarization, given the Refugee Commission's role in providing relief to those affected by disasters. Mr. Idris disclosed that during the visit, the governor appealed to the commission to prioritize the state due to the ongoing insecurity and dire need for humanitarian assistance. Moving on, no fewer than 11 persons lost their lives and 22 others sustained various degrees of injuries when a truck loaded with beans and passengers from Sokoto en route to Ibadan in Oyo State had an accident in the Shanga local government area of Kebbi State. It was gathered that the truck somersaulted after the driver lost control of the vehicle at Giramasa village. Confirming the incident, the spokesman for the Kebbi State Police Command, SP Nafiu Abubakar, said the incident happened in the early hours of Friday. He said the accident happened along the Kokoyari Road when a driver of a Volvo DAF truck lost control and as a result, somersaulted and 21 passengers sustained various degrees of injuries. He revealed that policemen from Shanga Division mobilized to the scene and evacuated the victims to the General Hospital, Shanga, for treatment, where 11 of the victims were confirmed dead, while the remaining victims are responding to treatment. In another development, the presidency on Friday said France will return $150 million looted by former Nigerian military leader General Sani Abacha. In a statement, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngalale, made this known, noting that President Bola Tinubu commended the European country for the decision. Receiving the French Foreign Affairs Minister Catherine Colonna, the president hailed the strengthening of bilateral relations between Nigeria and France, noting that this progress followed his visit to Paris after his inauguration, while emphasizing the need to reinforce collaboration on both political and economic fronts. The president welcomed the growing cooperation between the two countries in areas of shared interest. He also acknowledged the signing of a €100 million agreement between Nigeria and France to support the IDICE program, a federal government initiative to promote investment in information and communications technology and creative arts industries. President Bola Tinubu has commended his cabinet ministers and called for more efforts to drive his administration. Tinubu stated these are the 2023 cabinet retreat for ministers, presidential aides, permanent secretaries, and top government functionaries held at the State House Conference Center, Abuja. The president also tasked members of his cabinet and other top management staff of the civil service to work together to change the narrative of Nigeria and bring economic prosperity to the country. He noted that poverty is not a shameful thing, but it's not just acceptable, adding that checking through the nation's history, there's a trace of poverty in it, but they should find a way to dig the nation out of it. President Tinubu also spoke on the hurdles he faced in the wake of election petitions.
They had to make excuses. Neither am I. I'm your friend, your brother, a father and a grandfather. We must put aside personal ambitions and focus on the progress of our nation. It is through this that we can be truly proud. I am proud standing before you. I'm very, very proud of every one of you. And I am proud of myself too. I went for election. I won. With your support. They took me to court. I won. 5 minutes.
In other news, the House of Representatives has urged Nigerians to hold members of the National Assembly responsible over the purchase of official vehicles for the lawmakers. Members of the National Assembly faced severe criticism over plans to buy an SUV valued at 160 million naira each for the 469 lawmakers. But speaking in a news chart yesterday, the spokesman of the House of Representatives, Akin Rotimi, said Nigerians should hold the federal lawmakers accountable for the usage of the vehicles. He said he was invested in the idea of having a lot more transparency, noting that he had provided full disclosure as much as possible on the issue of vehicles. He stated that every 4 years these vehicles are procured and then deported, noting that there is the opportunity to ask what is going to happen to these. The lawmaker who represents Ekiti North Federal Constituency 1 wondered why Nigerians have to wait every 4 years to ask questions about purchase and usage of vehicles for National Assembly members. Elsewhere, the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria Commission has said it is committed to ensuring speedy development for the Southwest region. The Commission's chairman, State Focal Officers Boye Ologbese, said the proposed Integrated Transportation Network project was part of the blueprint of the Commission as part of efforts to fast-track the development of the region. Mr. Ologbese, the Ondo State Commissioner for Regional Integration and Diaspora Relations, explained that the proposal of regional railway route to link 44 cities and towns would enhance the economic development of the region. Mr. Ologbese, who was recently appointed as the Chairman State Focal Officer of the Commission to evaluate, coordinate and maintain adequate relations trajectory to the region, said DON has a mandate to effectively ensure sustainable development in the region. He noted that the Integrated Transportation Network project aims to deal with the problem of transportation networks in the region, ease the movement of people, goods and services while opening up the hinterland. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
The Berlin Conference of 1884 defined the configuration of Africa, which hitherto existed as a continent of multiple kingdoms and empires under native rulers. The conference, otherwise referred to as Congo Conference, regulated European colonization and trade in Africa as initiated by German leader Otto von Bismarck. The Berlin Conference is often called the scramble for and partitioning of Africa, as each of the imperial powers carved separate portions of the continent for themselves without recourse to racial and cultural identities and differences. 137 years after the Berlin Conference was held, Africa remains a legitimized playground for European nations that sought to exploit its wealth and resources and manipulate its human capital to promote trade and investments of Western powers. Western Spring Television identifies Berlin Conference as a major event in history.
Welcome back to Spring News at 12. Now talking business. Naira on Friday strengthened against the dollar, gaining 22.13% against the dollar to steady at 1,020 Naira on Friday from the peak of 1,310 Naira on Thursday last week on the black market. Speculators are now offloading the dollars they have been hoarding following news about government plans to increase liquidity in the market. Wale Edun, the finance minister, said in October 23, 2023, that Nigeria is expecting as much as $10 billion in new foreign currency inflows in the next few weeks to ease acute dollar shortages in the foreign exchange market. The CBN has started clearing the foreign exchange backlog and delivered on over 75% to 80% of outstanding matured foreign exchange forwards in some specific banks. The pressure on the foreign exchange market eased on Tuesday and Wednesday as Naira appreciated against the dollar at the official market. Still in business, the Bank of Canada has urged banks to reconsider offering variable rate mortgages with fixed payments, concerned about the number of borrowers faced with the negative amortization of their loans. The Apex Bank Senior Deputy Governor Caroline Rogers, in an interview with Bloomberg News on Friday, said the product needs a close look, noting that the industry reflect on how much they want to offer the product. Many variable rate mortgages in Canada require borrowers to make regular payments in fixed amounts, so when interest rates rise, a greater share of the payment goes towards paying interest on the loan rather than paying down the principal. The rapid pace of interest rate hikes by the Bank of Canada since last year has pushed some mortgages into negative amortization, which occurs when interest on a loan exceeds the fixed payment on the principal. Ms. Rogers stated that the situation is concerning, noting that it is not good for the banks and it is not good for the mortgage holders to have a big portfolio of negative amortizing mortgages. On the foreign scene, the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza says at least 12 people have been killed in the Israeli bombing of a UN school sheltering displaced people in the Jabalia refugee camp. However, the director of Al-Shifa Hospital has said at least 15 people were killed in the attack, with dozens injured. The attack on Al-Fakura school came hours after a deadly strike on another school sheltering displaced families in the Al-Saftawi area north of Gaza City. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Jordan today for talks with several Arab leaders and ministers today. This comes after he visited Israel yesterday, where he met with several Israeli officials and called on Israel to do everything to protect civilians who are caught in the crossfire of Hamas's making and to bring assistance to those who so desperately need it.
Today, I spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu and other senior officials about concrete steps to do that. President Biden has consistently stressed the need for Israel to operate according to international humanitarian law. I also emphasized that the protection of civilians must take place not just in Gaza, but also in the West Bank, where incitement and extremist violence against Palestinians must be stopped and perpetrators held accountable. Third, we need to substantially and immediately increase the sustained flow of humanitarian assistance into Gaza and getting American citizens and other foreign nationals out of Gaza. Since we reached agreement with Israel, Egypt, and the United Nations 2 weeks ago on mechanisms to enable humanitarian aid to begin reaching civilians in need, we have scaled up deliveries. We've gone from 0 to now over 100 trucks going into Gaza through the Rafah crossing every day. But this is still not enough. I spoke to Israeli leaders about tangible steps that can be taken to increase the sustained delivery of food, water, medicine, fuel, and other essential needs, while putting in place measures to prevent diversion by Hamas and other terrorist groups. We've identified mechanisms to enable fuel to reach hospitals and other needs in the south. Israel has raised appropriate concerns that we share, about Hamas's hoarding and siphoning of fuel in northern Gaza. Again, its cynicism knows no bounds, denying fuel itself that it has to hospitals.
Away from the conflict to Asia, the Philippines' National Security Advisor Eduardo Ana on Saturday rejected talk of a plot to destabilize the government of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., saying the military and the entire security sector were loyal to the commander-in-chief. Mr. Ana confirmed that there were healthy and passionate exchanges and debates among some retired or former military officers, and even some criticism against certain policies of the current administration, but they were within the bounds of the democratic space. Mr. Ana, in a statement, said there is no destabilization plot or movement against the government. Mr. Ana's remarks came after Philippine military chief Romeo Brawner was quoted in the media as telling troops on Friday that he had heard of destabilization efforts, with some military officers saying the president should be replaced for many reasons and there should be another coup d'etat. Marcos, the son and namesake of the late Philippine strongman, deposed in a 1986 People Power uprising, won office in a landslide in last year's presidential elections. However, he has suffered a significant drop in his approval rating as soaring consumer prices in the Philippines undermined his support. On a rather sad note, at least 128 people were killed and dozens injured in Nepal when a strong earthquake struck the western area of Jajakot, as houses in the area collapsed and buildings as far as New Delhi in neighboring India shook. According to Nepal's National Seismological Center, The quake occurred at 11:47 p.m. local time on Friday with a magnitude 6.4. The German Research Center for Geosciences measured the quake at 5.7, downgrading it from 6.2, while the U.S. Geological Survey pegged it at 5.6. The quake is the deadliest since 2015, when about 9,000 people were killed in 2 earthquakes in the Himalayan country. Officials fear the death toll in Friday's quake could rise, as they had not been able to establish contact in the hilly area near the epicenter, some 300 miles west of the capital, Kathmandu, where tremors were also felt. Police spokesman Kuba Kadayat said 92 people were killed in Jajakot and 36 in neighboring Rukum West District, both in Kanali province. The epicenter was in the village of Ramidanda. Now talking sports, the Football Association is investigating whether banned midfielder Sandro Tonali breached betting rules after joining Newcastle in the summer. Tonali, 23 years, was suspended for 10 months by the Italian Football Federation in October for betting on matches involving his teams Brescia and Milan. The ban was made worldwide. He joined Newcastle from Milan for £55 million in July, and the FA is investigating whether he was involved in betting on football following that move. Meanwhile, Macpea's sporting director Dan Ashworth said he did not know if Milan were aware of the betting charges when they sold him. In reply, Milan told the BBC they first learned about the charges from the media and only know what has been reported in the news. Tonali only made 12 appearances for Eddie Howe's side before the implementation of the ban, which will keep the Italy international out until the start of next season. Still in England, Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino has said he believes his former club and current league leaders Tottenham are title contenders. Speaking ahead of Monday's London derby at White Hart Lane, the Argentine praised new manager Ange Postecoglou and his coaching staff, who he said are doing a fantastic job. Speaking on his side's indifferent form, Pochettino said the club's history is about winning big things, but now they are in a different project and situation where they are building something for the future. He noted that his side are still so young and maybe that's why they do not manage it well, but he had no doubt that the club in the future will be back in a strong position.
Yeah, really special because I think come back after 4 years, in a place that we have amazing memories and we create amazing memories together, and I think it's special. I cannot lie. I'm not going to lie.
Because you never had the chance to say a proper goodbye, did you?
Yeah, that is true. Because in the moment that we leave the club, I think was a difficult situation, difficult moment. But now is the opportunity to come back and for sure to see too many people that still working there, and a good chance for us, and it's an exciting moment. It's going to be an exciting moment.
You've been going back there with everything that you achieved, taking them to the level that you took them. If you'd have been going back there as PSG manager or Manchester United manager, it would have been a 100% a massive warm welcome, wouldn't it? Do you think it will be the case because you're a rival, because you're now at Chelsea?
No, I'm not going to say nothing at the moment because until Monday we cannot guess, what is going to happen there. The most important is people know we cannot forget all that we live together. Amazing memories there, and then I'm going to respect the people, how they're going to express. But it's not going to change my emotion, my view, my feelings about a club that I think we spend unbelievable journey.
And that's all we have for you at this time. But before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has apologized to the people of the state over the recent political crisis in the state. The Sokoto State Police Command has confirmed that bandits attacked Duhua town in the Wano local government area of the state, killing at least 5 people, while 4 others were injured in the process. On the foreign scene, the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza says at least 12 people have been killed in the Israeli bombing of a UN school sheltering displaced people in the Jabalia refugee camp. Remember to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am EVELYN OHIOLEI. Thanks for watching.